So, good afternoon, students, and a very hearty welcome to everyone to Aurora online classes. Dear students, once again I am back, and I am back with a new lesson for you. Today we shall study this poem, and the title of this poem is The Ball Poem. The Ball Poem is a very inspiring poem, and it has a universal appeal. And this poem is by a very famous poet of America, John Berryman. John Berryman, what does he talk about? What does he talk about? What does he speak about? And whatever he speaks through this poem, whatever he wants to convey through this poem is having a universal appeal, a universal concept. Actually, we all know that this is our human life. This human life is very precious. This is full of joys and sorrows, ups and downs. Gain and loss are the two sides of the same coin. Since gain and loss are the two sides, are the two aspects of the same coin, and they are bound to happen in our life. But just imagine when you lose something which is very close to you, when you lose something which is very dear to you, when you lose something which you like most, how do you react? How do you feel? Naturally, it's a human tendency. We feel upset, we feel unhappy, we get disappointed and dejected over the loss of something which is very close to us. Whatever possessions that we have lots of possessions in this materialistic world. This world is the world of possessions. This is the physical world where we have lots of things for our use. We have our houses, we have money, we have the things for our use. We use so many things. So we have money, we have our house, we have our car, we have our motorcycle, we have our fans, refrigerator, TV, shirts, pants, watches, books, copies, bags, eraser, pencil, whatever the things, whatever we use is our possession, is our belongings. And what happens when we lose any of them? We get upset, we really feel very sorry for the loss that we suffer. So, in this poem, the poet wants to give us a message that we should not cry over the losses, because it is quite natural. Losses are bound to take place. Losses are bound to happen. Losses are sure to happen. So if they are sure to happen, we must learn it. We must keep this fact in our mind that if we gain something, we should be ready to lose something. So gain and losses are the part of our life, and actually it is a part of our life, it is a part of our existence. And actually it's a human tendency that the people continue to run after money, they continue to run after position, they continue to run after status. So they are running after money, they are running after position, wealth, power. This is a human tendency, and we want to grab something, we want to not only grab, we want to keep the things with us forever. But we also know, and we should not deny this fact, that nothing is permanent in this world, nothing is static and stable in this world. Whatever we have today, there is no certainty that whatever we have today will remain with us forever. Nothing stays with us forever. This is the ultimate truth, and this is the reality. This is the bitter truth, and this is the stark reality of life. So even if we lose something, we should not cry over it, we should not repent on it, though we feel sad, but we should stop it, and we should forget it, and we should go ahead. So we must learn to bear the loss in this life. Then only and only, we shall be happy, and we shall continue to do our work as earlier. So let us forget the things that we have lost. We every day we suffer lots of losses, but we should not cry over it. We should forget those losses, and we should continue our journey ahead. So life is an ongoing process where nobody is allowed to weep for it or cry over the lost things. Let us talk about it. In this poem, a boy loses a ball. He is very upset. A ball doesn't cost much, nor is it difficult to buy another ball. Why then is the boy so upset? Let's read out the poem. So, of course, have you ever lost something you liked most? And what would have been your reaction on being lost something, or after losing something which is very dear to you, which is very close to you, which is your own? It's a part of life. We should learn it. It's a part of life. It is bound to happen. It is bound to take place. So it is useless to cry over the lost things. What is the boy now? Let's read out. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it merrily bouncing down the street. And then merrily means happily. Over there it isn't, it is in the water. The poet says, actually the poet saw the boy, a small boy playing with his ball. The poet saw a small boy playing with his ball. The boy was emotionally attached with that ball. So he was playing with the ball, and the ball bounced down the street merrily means happily. When you tap the ball bounces, the ball jumps, the ball springs up. So the boy was playing with the ball, and all while playing with the ball, that ball bounced. It took a few bounces, it took a few jumps, and then it went down the street. And after that means after taking a few bounces, few jumps, this ball fell into the water of the harbor. That is why the boy had lost the ball, and the boy got upset. So the boy got upset over his lost ball. So the poet is saying that what is this boy now? Means what is this boy now means what will this boy do now? What is for the boy to do now? The boy was shocked. The boy was shocked at as he had lost the ball with which he was playing. And the poet saw it, and it went down the street and then fell into the water of the harbor. Similarly, it is for all of us. We the people lose something or other every day in our life. We lose something sooner or later in our life, and it happens with everyone. So this ball went down the street, and then thereafter this ball fell down fell down into the water of the harbor. It means it is clear that the boy had lost the ball, and after having lost the ball, the boy felt upset. He was totally shocked, as it happens with everyone. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. What happens? Boys usually lose such balls, and when they lose such balls, when their balls are lost, they get new ones. Now the poet says, no use to say, oh, there are other balls. Usually we also do the same thing. When the boy loses some ball, or when the boy loses something, parents get him or her some new balls in return, or some new balls in place of the lost ones. But the poet says, no use to say, or there are other balls. There is no use to say, oh, there are other balls. Don't worry, my child, there are other balls. I'll get you a new ball in place of the lost one. The poet says, don't say to this child that there are other balls. Don't console this child that there are other balls. Okay, if you have lost this ball, no problem, you will have some other ball. I'll get you some other ball. This is generally be the parents console the child like that. But the child was shocked, the child was upset, and the child was not in a position to be consoled, because he was in the grip of grief. He was behaving like a statue. He was just staring at the ball. He was just staring at the point where his ball fell into the water of the harbor. He had lost the ball. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Ultimate means maximum. Shaking grief. The boy started trembling with grief. The boy was overpowered by grief. The boy was totally disappointed and dejected. The boy was totally upset over the loss of that particular ball with which he was playing. Actually, the ball was not an ordinary ball for that child. That ball, it's a metaphorical poem too, and it is written in free verse. Actually, the ball was everything for him. And since the boy had possessed this ball for a long time, he was playing with this ball for a long time, that is why he had developed a sense of emotional attachment with this ball. So the loss of the ball is the loss of his childhood. The loss of the ball was just like a loss of his innocence. The loss of the ball for the child was just like the loss of his childhood. So the loss of a ball is a metaphor for the loss of his innocence, the loss of his childhood. And childhood are full of sweet memories of life. And once the childhood is lost, we cannot bring it back. It cannot be found again. We must keep it in our mind. So an ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. The grief, sadness had overpowered the boy. The boy was extremely sad. He was freezed. Fixes means freezed. The boy was freezed. He was just like a statue. He was just standing still. He was just standing motionless and still. As he stands rigid, the boy was just standing rigid. The boy was just standing like a statue. There was no movement at all in the boy. He was not moving there, trembling, staring down. The boy was trembling with grief. He was trembling with sadness, staring down. Staring down means the boy was staring. He was continuously staring, looking at the point where his ball fell into the water of the harbor. So he was looking at that side. He was looking at the point as he was playing with the ball. And now he had lost the ball because the ball had fallen into the water, and he had lost that ball forever, because he cannot get that ball with which he was playing back. So the loss of the ball was just like a loss of his childhood. isn't it? And our childhood with all our attachment and sweet memories. Our childhood is full of sweet memories with all sorts of attachment, and as if that for that boy his childhood had disappeared, which was full of its sweet memories. It was a huge loss. So as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down, the boy was staring down at the point. All his young days into the harbor where his ball bent. Young days means childhood days. As I have said, that the boy felt that the loss of his ball was like the loss of his childhood. As the ball went into, as the ball went into the water of harbor, similarly his childhood days with all sorts of attachment and sweet memories had also gone, had also disappeared like the ball fell into the water. The ball with which the child was playing had disappeared, had gone, was lost forever and ever. Similarly, his young days, his childhood days had also his childhood days were also lost, and they had gone, they had disappeared forever, and no one can bring back his childhood days. So for this boy, the loss of the ball was the loss of his childhood. His ball went, I would not intrude on him. The poet says that I won't. The poet doesn't want to intrude. Intrude means interfere. The poet doesn't want to intrude that child, doesn't want to interfere in his case. He doesn't want to console this child because the poet understands it. The poet understands it. A dime, another ball is worthless. The poet says it is useless to console that child that don't worry, you will get some other ball. This ball was ordinary. This ball is very cheap. You can get some other ball. The rate is very cheap. Dime, actually dime is US currency, means 10 cents. So the ball costs nothing. The poet says it is useless to console that child because this child is inconsolable. There is no use in telling that boy that the ball he has lost costs nothing. Though the ball costs nothing, it was an ordinary loss for the child. This is what the poet says. Actually, it doesn't mean that the poet is an enemy of the boy. Actually, the poet wants to make that boy understand that this boy, he wants that this boy should learn a lesson to bear the loss, because loss is bound to come to everyone sooner or later. All his young days into the harbor where his ball went, I would not intrude on him. The poet says, I won't interfere him. I won't console this boy. Then what will this poet do with the boy? A dime, another ball. The poet says, I won't console this boy that you can get this ball. It is a very cheap ball. You can get this ball at a cheap rate. It is useless to say. It is useless to console that boy. Now he senses his first responsibility. The poet says, let this boy, let this child learn his first responsibility. Let this child understand the sense of his responsibility, because it was the boy of the child. The child should understand the responsibility. The child has to take care of the ball, and whatever the things that we have, it is our responsibility to take care of our things. And if we don't take care of our things, it is quite natural that the things cannot remain with us forever. Sometimes the things can be stolen. Sometimes the things can be taken from us by others. Sometimes the things that we have, we can lose those things. So these things can be robbed. The things that we have can be stolen. The things that we have can be taken away by some people. It is natural. The things which we have will not remain with us forever, and this is what this child has to understand. Because when this child grows up, The child must learn this thing. And what does the poet want to make it clear to the child? And what does the poet want? What does the poet want to make it clear to the entire world? The poet wants to make it clear through this child that everybody has to suffer a loss, and once we suffer a loss, there is no exception. No one is exception to it. And once we suffer a loss, there is no use to cry over the losses that we suffer. He senses his first responsibility in a world of possessions, in this physical world. In the world of possessions means this world is the world of possessions. We possess, we own so many things. Whatever the things that we possess, whatever the things that we own, like our table, chair, watches, pant shirt, money, houses, bike, motorcycle, scooter, so many things we possess. So this is the world of possessions. This is the materialistic world. People, it is the natural tendency of the people to grab wealth, to gather wealth for their own comforts, for their own comforts and luxuries. So be the people, choose so many things, gather so many things. We have the habit of collecting so many things for our comforts. But those things that we collect will not remain with us forever. Sooner or later, the things will go out from us. Sooner or later, somebody will take these things from us, take away these things from us. Sooner or later, the things that we have with us will be stolen or will be damaged or destroyed. So this way, we are going to lose the things that we have. The poet wants to make it clear to that child. Let this child understand the sense of responsibility. In this world, in this physical world, people will take balls will be lost always. The poet tells very frankly that people own so many things. Balls, you can replace the balls for the material things, some other things that we have. Balls will be lost always. The poet says that whatever the things we have, they will be lost, and they will always be lost. Sometimes people will take it away from us. Sometimes these things will be stolen. Sometimes these things will be robbed. Sometimes these things will be damaged. Sometimes these things will be destroyed. This will happen. This will continue to happen. So, and this will continue to happen forever. It's a ongoing process. It will happen like this. So the poet says, people will take balls will be lost always. Little boy, he wants to make it clear to the little boy, there is no use on crying over it. So it is good for you to learn it, that life is an ongoing process, and in this world of possession, in the physical world, people will keep on losing the things that they have. So it's not a new thing. Losing is not a new thing. Loss is not a new thing. It's a part of life, and it has to happen. It has to take place. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. The poet says nobody can buy this ball with which he was playing. Means money is external. The poet says money is external. Money has nothing to do with our pain or suffering, because we can get money, we can get the material things with money, but money has nothing to do with our emotion. Money has nothing to do with our attachment. Actually, the ball was very much particular for that boy. The ball was very much special for that boy, because the boy was emotionally attached with that particular ball with which he was playing, and the ball fell into the water of the harbor. That ball cannot be brought back. The loss of, I have already said, that loss of that particular ball is the loss of his childhood. And like this, we lose so many balls. Balls means we lose some other things. We lose our money, we lose our houses, we lose our relationship, we lose so many things. We lose our car, we lose our motorcycle, we lose so many things in our life. We lose so many balls. Balls means some other things of our life, and it is quite natural to happen. Money is external. Money is external. Money has nothing to do with our attachment. Money has nothing to do with our emotions. We can get external things with money. We can buy bread with money. We can buy comforts with money. We can buy a bungalow or a house and a car with money. But we cannot buy hunger. We cannot buy love. Love is an emotion. And so money has nothing to do with emotions, with emotional attachment. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss. Epistemology matlab nature of loss. How to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days. The boy is learning the loss. The boy is learning to bear the loss. And poet says, let this boy learn how to bear the loss. And the poet says further, let this boy stand up on his feet. Let this boy get ahead in his life. Let this boy go ahead in his life. There is no use crying over the big loss, because for this child, the loss of this ball was ordinary, but the loss of his innocence, but the loss of his childhood was a huge loss which cannot be brought back. Once you lose it, once it is lost forever. So one has to learn how to bear the loss. One has to, this is the epistemology of loss, means nature of loss. One has to learn how to bear the loss. One should understand that loss is a part of life and it will take place sooner or later with anyone. But it is not wise to cry over it. Then what is wise? It is wise to stand up and to go ahead. Knowing what every man must know. Poet says everybody should know the nature of loss. One day know, and most know many days how to stand up. Many people know it, that loss is a part of our life. And those who don't know, they should realize it. They must understand it, that gain and loss are the two sides of the same coin. And loss is bound to take place. Everybody suffers a loss. We all have to suffer a loss. So we all have to suffer a loss sooner or later, and it happens with everybody. This is what each one of us must try to understand. And if we lose something, because losing is a part of our life, and if we lose something, we should not cry over it. We should not stand still. We should not regret over the lost things. Then what should we do? We should forget all the losses and we should go ahead. We should stand up and we should behave normally, and we should go ahead in our life. We should move on in our life. This is what the poet wants to convey. So the poet is quite clear in his approach that we should understand that gain and loss are the two sides, are the two faces of the same coin. Nobody is an exception to it. Everybody should learn how to bear the loss. Thank you very much, my dear children. This is all for today. I hope I have tried my level best to make this poem clear to you. That's all for today. Till then, take care of yourself, study at home, stay blessed, be safe, keep learning, keep practicing, keep working. Thank you very much. Okay, na?